نبدأ. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، صلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا وهدى وتقا ورشادا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم فقهنا في الدين وعلمنا التأويل. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من علم لا ينفع ومن قلب لا يخشع ومن نفس لا تشبع ومن دعوة لا تسمع. نعوذ بك اللهم من هؤلاء الأربع. أما بعد، فحياكم الله جميعا في الدرس 52 في شرح متممة الأجرومية في علم العربية، المؤلف للشيخ محمد بن عبد الرحمن أبي عبد الله الرعيني المعروف بالحطاب، المتوفى سنة 54 و900 للهجرة، رحمه الله رحمة واسعة وأسكنه فسيح جناته. فقد وقفنا في الدرس الماضي عند ذكر المصنف للنوع الثاني من النواصب أو القسم الثاني من النواصب. طبعا يا أيها الإخوة، إن القسم الأول من النواصب يشتمل على أربع. والقسم الأول من النواصب هو النواصب التي تنصب الفعل المضارع بنفسه أو بنفسها. So we are talking right now about the nawasib of fi'l mudari', the articles, the words that cause the fi'l mudari' to become mansoob. And we are saying that there are of 2 or 3 types. And the first type is that causes the fi'l mudari' to become mansoob. And this process is done and performed by the word itself. It does not need the help of a hidden an. It does not need the help of a hidden an. So itself it causes the nasb in the fi'l mudari'. طيب. Then in this first type of nawasib we learned 4. We learned an, which is the an-mastariyah, which along with the fi'l mudari' gives the meaning of mastar. And we learned lan, which means will not. Idhan, which means thus or hence, and kay. And we learned the shurut related to each one of them. We said that generally, the general rule is that if the fi'l mudari' directly comes after it, it will be mansoob at all times, according to Ibn Hisham. And if you want to use, if it is being preceded by something that suggests ilm or dhann, then if it's being preceded by something that suggests ilm, then it would be not an nasiba, rather it would be an mukhaffafa min al-thaqila, and then it would be incumbent and mandatory and required to separate the an and the fi'l mudari' with one of the 4 tawasib, which is law or la or sin or sawfa. And if it's preceded by dhann, then we have 2 options, of course. It can be nasiba, it cannot be nasiba. Both options. With regards to lan, it was simple, no shurut or requirements. With regards to kay, we said that yes, kay is the nasiba if it comes along with the lam. When you say li kay usalliya, ji'tu li kay usalliya, then the kay is the nasib. Otherwise, if you use kay alone, then either you imagine a lam, then the kay will be nasib. And if you don't imagine a lam, then you will have to imagine an المضمرة and nasiba, which is mudmar, which is hidden, and that will be the nasib. With regards to idhan, we said that it is nasib for fi'l mudari' if it comes in a response to something. It must be in a jawab, in a response to something, and the fi'l mudari' should occur right after it, and it should be referring to the future tense. And it should not be separated. It should occur right after idhan, and it can only be separated by la or wallahi. Otherwise, it will cease to become or cease to remain an nasib. So this is the khulasa of what we learned regarding kay and idhan. And idhan, we mentioned 3 scenarios in which it will be nasib. We said idhan ukrimaka. In all of these 3 scenarios, the fi'l mudari' should be referring to the future tense. إذن أكرمك without any separator, without any separation. إذن والله أكرمك it's being separated by qasam, that is fine, that's acceptable. إذن لا أكرمك, again it's being separated by la, it's acceptable as well. But if you use any other word other than these separators, if you say إذن قادر, if you say قادر, then you will say أكرمك with a dhamma. That will stop the إذن from causing نصب. الآن نأتي إلى القسم الثاني, the second type of نواصب for فعل مضارع. And these are the ones that cause نصب, but not by themselves, rather with the help of المضمرة. He says والثاني هو ما ينصب المضارع بإضمار أن بعده, by hiding with a hidden أن after it. إما جوازا, يعني this أن that is hidden, it's hidden جوازا, يعني so جوازا means like إضمار أن is جائز, or إضمار أن is واجب. يعني the hiding of أن sometimes is جائز. What's the meaning of, what's the difference between جائز and واجب? What difference would it make if you say that the إضمار of أن is جائز? And what would it mean if you say إضمار of أن is واجب? إضمار means hiding. So when we say it's جائز, what's its implication? Wajib is compulsory, it's a must-have, it must be hidden, and jaiz is optional to have or not. Jaiz means then that an can sometimes be shown as well. It's not necessary to keep the an hidden. طيب. قال فالأول خمسة, يعني he says that the إضمار of an being jaiz, this is done, there are 5 nawasib in which this is done, or in which this is possible. لحظة. طيب. So there are, he says, 5 nawasib in which it is permissible to hide an, and it's permissible to show it as well. Right. What are those 5? These are actually not 5, they're actually 2 only. And they consider the set of al-waw, al-fa, al-thumma, they consider it as one. Many of the nahwiyin, they consider this as one nasib. So instead of considering as 5, we can just consider it as 2. So we can say 1 and 2. In Aajurroomiyyah and the books of the level of Aajurroomiyyah, perhaps even Mukhtasar and Nahl al-Mufid, we only learned the first one. And we did not learn the second one. So the second one will be additional to us. Right. So now let's move on to the first one, which will be a kind of a revision for us. He says, وَهِيَ, the first one is لَا مُكَيِّ. La mukay is also called what? La mukay means the lam that gives the same meaning as kay. So, and its other name is lam at-ta'lil. The other name for lam mukay is lam at-ta'lil. What's the meaning of ta'lil? To give an illah, to give a reason. To give an illah, to give a reason. Yani, what's the reason you're doing something? So the other day, remember we translated kay as so that, because in English we use so that as a phrase to give a reason, to explain the reason for something. So here lam kay is referring to, it's also called lam al-ta'lil, and it's used to give a reason, right? The other day we were giving examples of جئت لأصلي. I came to pray. And what was the reason you came here? You came here to pray. يعني ذهبت إلى المدرسة. I went to the school لأدرس, to study, right? لأطلب العلم, to seek knowledge, etc. طيب نحو وأمرنا لنسلم لرب العالمين. وأمرنا, what have we been commanded to? We have been commanded to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here the lam is يعني according to the راجح قول of the mufassirin, the lam here is not lam التعليل. Not lam التعليل means like it's not a lam used to give a reason for something. Rather, this lam, as we mentioned in the tafsir of subhanallah, right. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, subhanallah, يريد الله ليبين لكم. المهم, there was one passage in the Quran that we did in Ramadan, and after Ramadan we had 3 passages. We had one related to Siyam, one related to Hajj, one related to Talaq. And in one of the passages we had this Amr coming along with the lam. يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر ولتكملوا العدة. يعني ويريد لتكملوا العدة. So over there we had mentioned that the lam is used with amara, with the fi'l of amara, and with the fi'l of arada. Arada يريد and amara يأمر. The lam is used with these 2 af'al in the meaning of an. يعني when you say with أمرنا لنسلم لرب العالمين, it's not like, it doesn't mean that we have been commanded so that we submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rather, this here means وأمرنا أن نسلم لرب العالمين. We have been commanded to submit. That's explanatory. And here it's not it's not giving us the reason, rather it's explaining to us what we have been commanded to do. So it's not exactly lam ta'lili, it's not exactly a lam ta'liliya, it's not exactly a lam ta'lil in terms of the meaning here. It's only giving, it's performing the same function as an. However, whether it's lam ta'lil or whether it's the lam that gives the same meaning as an, along with amara and arada, just like it happened in that ayah from Surah Al-Baqarah, يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر ولتكملوا العدة. أي Allah يريد أن تكملوا العدة. Allah wants you to complete the number of days. So we call it لام العاقبة. لا أدري والله, لام العاقبة لا أدري. I don't know لام العاقبة. Subhanallah. Right now I can't recall anything about لام العاقبة. So I'm not sure what this will be called if it's given, if it gives the meaning of an. However, I remember that we mentioned that At-Tabari himself proved that this is a lam that gives the meaning of an. That's his that was his opinion as well. على كل حال, in whether it's lam al-ta'lil or this other kind of lam, it gives you it still will perform the same function of causing the nasb. It will perform the same function of causing the nasb. طيب. So here the example is وَأُمِرْنَا لِنُسْلِمَ لِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. He the an here, the idmar of an here, the hiding of an here is jaiz. Jaiz means it's permissible. What does that mean? That you can say وَأُمِرْنَا لِأَن نُسْلِمَ لِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ, and it will be considered lam za'idah. And you can say وَأُمِرْنَا لِنُسْلِمَ لِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. وَأُمِرْنَا لِنُسْلِمَ لِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. طيب. So he says that here it's unjaiz. So, and you can give a simpler example, and for your own ease, you can write here, جئت, I came, لأصلي, and you can say at the same time جئت لأن أصلي. So both are correct. Why? Because with lam al-ta'lil, it is permissible. It is permissible to have an mudmara shown or hidden. Both are permissible. As for lam al-aqiba, they mufassirin, yes, they mention in the Quran. I was just checking. They mention in the Quran sometimes the lam as aqiba. That is when it is giving you the result of something. So this one is not lam al-aqiba. Lam al-aqiba is when it gives you the result of something, not the reason for it. For example, in the qissa of Musa and Fir'aun, in Surah Taha, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Fir'aun, لحظة في الآية قال no, not in Surah Taha, in Surah Al-Qasas. In Surah Al-Qasas, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says فالتقطه آل فرعون ليكون لهم عدوا وحزنا. The family of Fir'aun and his people, they picked up Musa ليكون لهم عدوا وحزنا, so that he becomes their enemy and a source of grief. This ayah is Surah Al-Qasas, ayah 8. Ayah 8. Now here in this ayah, the usage of lam here is not lam al-ta'lil. The people of Fir'aun did not pick up Musa so that the reason that they did it was that so that when he grows up he becomes an enemy and a source of grief and source of sadness for Fir'aun. Rather here it's lam al-aqiba. Aqiba means that the result will be that he will end up becoming so. This was not the reason Fir'aun's people were thinking of, rather it's the thing that was the consequence. This will be the consequence of this happening. For example, مثلا, what else can you give examples for lam al-aqiba? ربما مثلا in Musa alayhi salam, when he makes when he curses Fir'aun in Surah Yunus, ayah 88, he said, ربنا إنك آتيت فرعون وملأه زينة وأموالا في الحياة الدنيا. You gave Fir'aun wealth, prosperity in the dunya. ربنا ليضلوا عن سبيلك. Oh Allah, the consequence of which was that they they misguided people away from your path. So here, this was not the reason Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them all of these blessings for. Rather, this was the consequence that this is ayah 88 from Surah Yunus, ayah 88 from Surah Yunus. So these are all lam al-aqiba. These are all lam al-aqiba. كذلك سورة الزمر آية 8 وجعل لله أندادا ليضل عن سبيله. Surah Al-Zumar ayah 8, similar. And he made partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take people away from his path, not like as if that was the intention and the reason. That was the consequence of making partners with Allah. That is Lam al-Aqibah. This one is not Lam al-Aqibah. This I don't know what did Imam al-Tabari name it as, but this is the lam that gives the meaning of an. طيب على كل حال نعود الآن. So when the lam gives the meaning of an, or whether it's Lam al-Ta'lil, they both have the same rulings. And this lam comes along with the lam that gives the meaning of an. It usually comes along with the arada and amara. So, but you can stick to the easier example. جئت لأصلي, جئت لأن أصلي. So this will be easier for you to understand. Then the next mas'ala is important and it's difficult to understand. It says والواو والفاء وثم وأو العاطفات على اسم خالص ليس في تأويل الفعل نحو قوله ولبس عباءة وتقر عيني. Here, this particular one, particular nasib, is mentioned by the other nuhat as وقوع الفعل المضارع بعد عاطف. What's the meaning of عاطف? يعني حرف عطف. عاطف is referring to حرف عطف. So بعد عاطف, which is مسبوق, which is preceded by باسم خالص, which is preceded by an اسم خالص. What does it mean, اسم خالص? We'll come to it. The Musannif, so you can just copy this down. How is this second nasib explained by the other nuhat? وقوع الفعل المضارع بعد عاطف. عاطف means حرف عطف. مسبوق باسم خالص. باسم خالص. Right. When he says that the فعل مضارع will be if it occurs after a حرف عطف and before the حرف عطف المعطوف عليه should be an اسم خالص. So we have quite a few things at our hands here. We have, first of all, we should have an اسم خالص. What's an اسم خالص? We'll come to it. Then we'll have a حرف عطف, and then we'll have a فعل مضارع. طيب. What is an اسم خالص? He says ليس في تأويل الفعل, something that is not explained as a فعل. What does he mean by this? He means by this because he means by this something that is not a mushtaq of the فعل. It's not mushtaq of the فعل. So what are the mushtaqat? If you remember the mushtaqat, if you this means أي ليس من مشتقات الفعل. مشتقات الفعل that perform or that give يعني a similar function like that of الفعل. So what were those مشتقات? If you remember from صرف, we said اسم الفاعل, sometimes اسم المفعول, sometimes صفة مشبهة, We also had صيغة المبالغة, etc. etc. Right? أفعال التفضيل. Those مشتقات 5 6 7 مشتقات, it shouldn't be the مشتقات, it should be an اسم خالص. The اسم خالص means something that is not a مشتق. So one of the things that's not a mushtaq is, according to the Basriyin, is the masdar. So if the masdar is being used, or any kind of other um, or any kind of other ism khalis which is not in the ta'wil of a masdar, like asma jamida. Asma jamida is not mushtaq, right? It's an ism khalis. So so in this case, when it's used along with the harf atf and the ma'tuf is a fi'l mudari', then the fi'l mudari' will be mansub. Now let us we'll give some examples from the Quran as well. Actually, do we have an example from Quran here? We had لا ليس عندنا. نعم we have أو يرسل رسولا فيوحي بإذنه ما يشاء, أو يرسل رسولا فيوحي بإذنه ما يشاء. طيب. First of all, let me explain why this would happen. This would happen because here, if you have an ism, let us say, and let's take this example of, and this, our Sheikh used to give us an example which was quite simple. He would say, حفظ سورة وأتدبره خير من الحفظ وحده. He would say, he would give this example to us, حفظ سورة, memorizing a surah, وأتدبره. أتدبره يعني and I reflect on it. أتدبره خير من حفظها وحده. He would say that memorizing of a surah and reflecting on it is better than just memorizing it. Okay? Now, tell me. طبعا the ism khalis here is not, it's the hifz. That's our focus right now. This is what, is this a masdar or is this a mushtaq? Is it ism al-fa'il or ism al-maf'ul? What is hifz? Memorizing a surah. Is it masdar, or is it ism fa'il or ism maf'ul? What is it? It's a masdar. ممتاز. Fine. So first of all, it's a masdar. Now notice what we are saying in English. Memorizing a surah and reflecting on it. Surah وأتدبرها. Sorry, it should be حفظ سورة وأتدبرها. How did I translate it as? I said memorizing a surah and reflecting on it. What is reflecting on it? Is it a masdar or is it a verb? Just look at the translation. Only the translation. I'm just asking you about the translation. Memorizing the surah and reflecting on it. So memorizing, we said masdar, hifz. In English also, it's a gerund verbal noun. Looks like a masdar. It is a masdar. Very good. Now just first try to understand this in English. Memorizing a surah and reflecting. Both are masdars. Now, if I say a sentence like the following, if I say, memorizing a surah. Now notice now. And I reflect on it. Is better than mere memorizing. Do you find this usage of verb here, and I reflect on it, along with the conjunction in memorizing, do you find it يعني, okay? Do you find it fine? يعني, is it fine to use it this way? Memorizing, and I reflect on it. Usually, when it comes to عطف in any language, you use the same kind of words, nouns with nouns, and verbs with verbs, right? We don't use a noun and then suddenly use a verb, right? You don't do that. And even when it comes to sentences, a general rule is that nominal sentences with nominal sentences, and verbal sentences with verbal sentences. The same goes in Arabic. General rule is جملة اسمية will be used if you're using an عطف, then you will be using جملة اسمية وجملة اسمية, جملة فعلية وجملة فعلية. It's seldom that it happens that جملة فعلية is معطوفة on جملة اسمية, but that's, we're talking about جمل. Right now, if we're talking about اسم, you will say زيد وعمر وبكر و and you will say أريد أن أذهب وأشرب وآكل و but you will never say أريد أن أذهب وزيد وعمر. Does it make sense to use it this way? أذهب and then زيد and عمر. Does it make any sense? It doesn't make sense, right? So you use, whenever you're using conjunctions in حروف العطف in any language, you use nouns with nouns and أفعال with أفعال, words with words. So far, so good. So now you find this second example problematic. Why? Because this is a verb here. This is a noun, which is a gerund. This is problematic. But you notice here that this one was fine because it's a noun with a noun. Okay, right? Oh, likewise in Arabic, if I said حفظ سورة, if I said the same thing here in Arabic, حفظ سورة وتدبرها. Now I'm using what? The masdar or the fi'l? وتدبرها. Is this the masdar or the fi'l? خير من الحفظ وحده. This is the, بارك الله فيكم, the, is this the masdar تدبرها or is it the fi'l? تفعل, تكلم يتكلم تكلما, تدبر يتدبر تدبرا. Masdar. Now, does this sound fine now? حفظ سورة وتدبرها خير. This sounds fine, right? طيب. Now, if you realize this, that along with the noun, you should have a noun. Along with the fi'l, you should have a fi'l. What happened here was that along with the fi'l, along with the noun, which is the ism here, the hifz, this was a masdar, right? An ism khalas. Ism khalas. The ma'tuf that came along with it was what? What is this? Fi'l or noun, an ism khalas? It's a fi'l. Now we are occurring, or we are falling into the same issue as that of this sentence, the one that I give an example of here. Memorizing a surah and I reflect on it. Doesn't sound correct. What happens here is that you tell me now, how can I convert a fi'l into a masdar? Such that the fi'l exists, it remains, and yet it gives the meaning of a masdar. with an مصدرية. ممتاز. So how about I convert this فعل which was before the nasb, it was أتدبرها. How about if I use it, if I say the following, if I say instead of حفظ سورة وتدبرها, I say حفظ سورة وأن أتدبرها, and that I reflect on it, خير إلى آخر الجملة. Now does it sound fine? Because now we have a masdar, noun, in ism khalas, which is the masdar, along with another masdar, which together gives you the same meaning as an ism, right? Now does it sound fine? حفظ سورة وأن أتدبرها وأن تصوموا خير لكم. In fact, your fast is good for أن تصوموا أي صيامكم خير لكم. But if it was without an, you couldn't have used the fi'l as a mubtada. Why were we able to use وأن تصوموا خير لكم? أن تصوموا was used as a mubtada because together with an, it gives you the meaning of an ism. So أن تصوموا gave you the same meaning as صيامكم خير لكم. So now it sounds fine. So what did they do here? That if you want to use this حفظ سورة وأتدبرها, they said if you want to use a fi'l, then you must make it mansoob with an an. And this an, if you want, you can show it. If you want, you can hide it. So this fi'l here is فعل مضارع منصوب بأن مضمرة جواز. جواز means that if you want, you can use the an. You can say حفظ سورة وأتدبرها, and you can say حفظ سورة وأن أتدبرها. Both are correct. This one is correct, and this one is correct as well. حفظ سورة وأتدبرها, حفظ سورة وأن أتدبرها. Both are correct. Did you understand this issue? Why were we having this kind of an issue why were we forced to make the fi'l mudari mansoob? So that together with the an nasiba masdariyah, it will give us the meaning of a masdar. If it gives us the meaning of a masdar, then only can we use it as a ma'tuf upon another noun, upon another ism. Isn't the middle sentence also correct? Middle sentence, which one is it? We have one sentence, حفظ سورة وأتدبرها, memorizing the surah and reflecting on it. Memorizing the surah and I reflect on it. This one? Yeah, this one. Yeah, that is also correct. Of course. Yes, sorry. This is also correct. Of course. What I meant by correct means like you can use an and you can use without an as well, the pair. But that's also correct. But tadabburuha is also correct, of course. The actual way the sentence should have been put, or it's supposed to be generally put, or more common usage is حفظ سورة وتدبرها, masdar with masdar. But since you are insisting on using a fi'l, then you have to use a fi'l along with something that will make it into a masdar. حفظ سورة وأن أتدبر. So that it becomes a noun. So you're using noun with a noun. Noun with a noun. Is it clear so far? So that when you're using the atf, you use noun with a noun instead of using fi'l with a noun. طيب. Now you will tell us in the examples. Here we have an example. وَلُبْسُ عَبَاءَةٍ وَتَقَرَّ عَيْنِيَ. What's the other part of... they should have the complete share here. وَلُبْسُ عَبَاءَةٍ وَتَقَرَّ عَيْنِي أَحَبُّ إِلَيَّ مِنْ لُبْسِ الشُّفُوفِ. طيب. This particular, this is the first part of the share. وَلُبْسُ عَبَاءَةٍ وَتَقَرَّ عَيْنِي أو عيني أحب إلي. Let's just write this part of it, أحب إلي here, so that the sentence, at least to a certain extent, makes sense to you. أحب إلي, it's more beloved to me. Now you tell me, what's the meaning of lubs? Lubs. What's the meaning of lubs? لبس يلبس لبسا. What's the meaning of lubs? To wear. This is a masdar or fi'l or what here? لبس. لبس يلبس لبسا. Masdar. ممتاز. So the wearing of an aba'ah, this is what we call the abaya, right? The cloak. Cloak is called aba'ah. Aba'ah, abaya. An abaya, they convert the hamza into a ya, that's why we call it abaya, abaya. But it's actually any aba'ah. It's the cloak. So wearing of a cloak and وَتَقَرَّ عَيْنِي, and my eyes being comforted by that. So here he's using atf, but the ma'tuf alayh is an ism, it's a noun, and the ma'tuf is a fi'l. So how will we manage it? We will manage it by imagining an an here and saying وَأَنْ تَقَرَّ عَيْنِي, so that it is masdar with a masdar. So the wearing of an aba'ah along with the comforting of my eyes. The comforting of my eyes. I'm using a masdar here on purpose. Is more beloved to me. Is more beloved to me. Lubsu aba'atin, wearing of an aba'ah. And the comforting of my eyes. Yani my eyes becoming cool and comforted because of seeing myself in the aba'ah. أحب إلي من لبسي الشفوف. طيب. And the meaning of shufuf is يعني it's the jama of shif, which means like a very thin cloth. A very thin cloth. So he says like wearing a thick cloak is more beloved to me, along with the coolness of my eyes because I'm wearing the nice clothes. It's more beloved to me than wearing just merely a thin piece of cloth. Thin cloth or clothes made of a thin material. Clothes made of a thin material. So here, let's come back again. Lubsu aba'atin, wearing of a cloak. And the cooling of my eyes is more beloved to me than wearing أحب إلي من لبس الشفوف. من لبس الشفوف. Wearing clothes made of a thin piece of cloth. طيب. So now you explain to me, please, why did we have the fi'l mudari' here mansub? Explain. We a chance through the microphone. Tell me, why did we have to make the fi'l mudari' here mansub? And what caused its nasb? أن المضمرة جوازا. Okay, there's an المضمرة after حرف عطف, which is causing the nasb. Why did we need to have it? I can't hear you. I think you're saying something, Taha, but your voice is not audible.
Yeah, because of like making the mudari as the masdar.
Yeah, so that we can have a masdar, a noun, ma'tuf for a noun. And the word that comes after the conjunction, both of them, the one before and after, ma'tuf alayhi and ma'tuf, both become nouns. Because we can't have أذهب وأشرب وآكل وزيد. كيف هذا؟ أذهب أشرب آكل. Very good. All of these are verbs. أذهب وآكل وأشرب وزيد. Suddenly a noun doesn't make sense. For that we have both the معطوف and معطوف عليه, both are nouns. You understand? لبس عباءة وتقر عيني. So that we have وأنت قر عيني, and the coolness of my eyes is more beloved to me than wearing the clothes made of thin cloth. Okay, very good. طيب. لولا توقع معتر فأرضيه ما كنت أوثر وأتراب على تربي. لحظة. طيب. The شاعر here says, and I think I have to just mention the whole thing below so that we have enough space to comment on it. He says, لولا توقع معتر فأرضيه ما كنت أوثر أترابا أو إترابا على تربي. ما كنت أوثر إترابا على تربي. شاعر here says that had it not been لولا توقع. What's the meaning of توقع? It's the same as in Urdu. توقع. What's توقع? Expectation. Yes. Had it not been for the expectation of a mu'tar. Mu'tar is the faqir, which means the needy. mu'tar, faqir. In Surah Al-Hajj, فَكُلُوا مِنْهَا وَأَطْعِمُوا الْقَانِعَ وَالْمُعْتَرَّ. Eat from it and give it to someone who asks for it and the needy. قانع means the sa'il. قانع means sa'il, and mu'tar means faqir. mu'tar means faqir. قانع means sa'il, as the sha'ir says, subhanallah, the sha'ir bit sha'ir. SubhanAllah, I نسيت بيت الشعر, but it's a very interesting one. The شاعر says أعف من القنوع لمال المرء يصلحه فيغني وفاقره أعف من القنوع. And a person having some kind of a wealth, some kind of property that he fixes and then he maintains, which makes himself sufficient, it's better than it's better than having to ask for it. So قنوع means to ask for something. لمال المرء يصلحه فيغني مفاقره أعف من القنوع. So فأطعم القانع والمعتر, يعني feed the one who asks for it and also feed the one who is faqir. So لولا توقع معتر, had it not been for the expectation of the needy, فأرضيه, so I أرضى يرضي بمعنى I please him, so that I please him, I fulfill his need. فأرضيه, had it not been for this, ما كنت أوثر, I wouldn't. أوثر means prefer. إترابا, which means richness, or it's the other word for being rich, wealthiness, richness. I wouldn't have preferred it over faqr, being needy or poverty. He said, I would love to be a faqir, but because being rich means you can help the fuqara and fulfill their needs. This is a great virtue. Because of this, okay, I'm agreeing to remain rich. Otherwise, I would have preferred to be a faqir. But I'm fine with being rich because this enables me to fulfill their needs. This is like an expression of zuhud, that faqr is more beloved to me than rich, being wealthy, because so that I have to give less hisab, and the fuqara are better people, etc., for whatever reason. So here, what's the shahid here? Can you tell me the place that is the shahid here? Shahid. Shahid means the place that we are using for our topic, the point in the bed share. توقع معترض فأرضيه as well. Makes it mansub. توقع معترض. What happened here? توقع, expectation. What is this? Masdar or fi'l? مصدر. طيب. And what's the معطوف عليه? Oh, sorry, the معطوف. And after the حرف عطف, what is being used? فأرضيه. أرضيه. Is it a فعل or is it what? المعطوف is أرضيه, which is a فعل. طيب. Can we use a فعل as a معطوف with an ism? Generally, no. So what was the solution that we had? We made that fi'l mansoob with an المضمرة جوازا, so that it gives the same meaning as a masdar. So now the meaning would become, had it not been for the expectation of the needy and the subsequent fulfillment of his need, or subsequent pleasing of him, that so we using a masdar here, so that it is fine to use it as ma'tuf for a masdar before it. واضح? So far, is it clear, inshallah? And here it's an mudmarah jawazan. You can say فأن أرضيه, you can say فأرضيه. قال وقوله إني وقتلي سليكا. إني وقتلي سليكا ثم أعقله. كيف هذا؟ إني وقتلي. Me, indeed, me, myself, and my killing of Sulaik. And my killing of Sulaik. ثم أعقله. And then tying him up. Oh, that's very criminal, subhanAllah. قال إني وقتلي سليكا ثم أعقله. Here أعقل, عقل يعقل means to tie him up. To tie him up. Or sorry. No, لحظة. No, it's not that. إني وقتلي سليكا ثم أعقله here means giving the diya. عقل or عاقلة of the family, that is the عاقلة, the ones that pay the blood money are called the عاقلة, because they pay the blood money. They pay the blood money. So عقل يعقل here is in the meaning of فدا يفدي, to give the sorry, ودا يدي, يعني to give the diya, to give the diya of someone, to give the blood money of something or someone. So he says إني وقتلي سليكا, يعني me and the killing of Sulaik, then the paying of blood money by myself. That's what he wants to say. إني وقتلي سليكا ثم أعقله كالثور يضرب لما عافت البقر. كالثور يضرب لما عافت البقر. What does he mean by this? قال ألهم وخوف كالثور الذي يضربه الراعي يضرب لما عافت البقر، أو يضرب الراعي لما يمتنع البقر عن شرب الماء ولقلته ولقلة عطش، ثم إن الأبقار لا تضرب لأنها ذات لبن. الشاعر أوكي سبحان الله. So what happens, he says, the whole bait shi'r is, subhanallah, it's very interesting. قال إني وقتلي سليكا ثم أعقله. This is inshallah the last bait shi'r. After this we'll end our class. كالثور يضرب. In the book that I have, it's not mushakkal, that mashkul, that's why I have difficulty in sometimes reading some of the bait abiyat shi'r. يضرب لما عافت البقر. طيب, so he says that that the fact that me killing Sulaik, the person, and then myself paying the blood money of Sulaik because I killed him, instead of my whole tribe doing that, is just like a male. What's a male cow called? Thawr. What's the word for a male cow? What do we call it? Bull. Okay, yeah. It's like a bull getting beaten up because the cows don't want to drink the water because lima afat al-afa ya'afu means like expressing unease or discomfort at something, or eating something, and ya'afuhu, that he dislikes it. So leaving something, not eating, not drinking it because you dislike it, this is called afa ya'afu. So he says كالثور يضرب لما عافت البقر. It's just like when a bull is beaten up by the shepherd because the cows are not willing to drink the water. So because cows, they give milk, the shepherd does not want to afflict them with this trauma of beating up, then they would stop giving milk. So what does he do? He beats up the bull. And from this, sort of the cows, they sort of become fearful or get scared, and hence they start drinking the water despite the fact that they dislike it. So he says, like, just like the bull bears all of the responsibility of the cows and he has to get beaten up on behalf of the cows or because of the cows, just like that, and instead of my whole tribe having to pay the blood money, I'm the one paying the blood money so that my tribe doesn't have to go through all of these problems of paying the blood money for Sulaik. So the shahid here is that qatli Sulaykan, qatl is masdar, qatli Sulaykan, and with the masdar, the ma'tuf was a fi'l. So fi'l with the noun doesn't go together, generally speaking. So he had to make it mansub, as if he's saying وَقَتْلِي سُلَيْكًا ثُمَّ أَنْ أَعْقِلَهُ, and the paying of the blood money, instead of saying and I pay the blood money, then that wouldn't make sense. So my killing of Sulaik and the paying of blood money, killing and paying of blood money, which makes both of them masdar. And how did we make the fi'l masdar? By using al-mudmara jawazan. This is the meaning of the shi'r. Inshallah, we'll start off our next class by explaining this ayah, أو يرسل رسولا. You can read this ayah. It's from Surah, I think, Surah Al-Shura. لا كيف ويرسل رسولا فيوحي بإذنه ما يشاء إنه عليم قدير. Surah Al-Shura, ayah 51. Ayah 51. Surah Al-Shura, ayah 51. Have a look at it, and then inshallah we'll discuss it in the next class. بإذن الله تعالى. نكتفي بهذا القدر. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. This was a relatively difficult issue, and here also we haven't yet explained why did he say اسم خالص ليس في تأويل الفعل, because if it is in the تأويل الفعل then the case will be a little different. All of this we'll discuss in the next class inshallah. And for this we will be discussing والعاديات ضبحا فالموريات قدحا فالمغيرات صبحا فأثرنا به نقعا. So فأثرنا is a فعل and it's being معطوف on والعاديات فالموريات فالمغيرات. All of these are asma. So how can we have a معطوف which is a فعل with all of these asma, عاديات and موريات and مغيرات? This is because عاديات, موريات, مغيرات, all of them are in the ta'wil of a fi'l. They are giving the same meaning or a similar meaning as that of it, fi'l. They're not ism khalis. That's why that's permissible. We'll discuss that inshallah as well in the next class. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.